All right, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Texas Storm Chasers Baldy and Chief David Reimer. It's the 23rd of May, 2022, coming up on 9:47 p.m. We continue to have multiple areas of thunderstorms this afternoon. Well, it's not this afternoon anymore, but this evening across the Texas Panhandle and West Texas. They need it, so that's okay. And a separate cluster of strong to severe thunderstorms across South Texas, moving it towards the Rio Grande Valley this evening. So let's go ahead and talk about what we have going on now and a couple of our expectations for the remainder of the night and into tomorrow. I'll go ahead and preface this by saying we're going to be busy tomorrow and tomorrow night across the southeastern 75% of Texas. There's going to be a lot of thunderstorms, so that's a preview of what's to come tomorrow. Let's go ahead and pop on in from south to north. We'll take a look at what we have going on right now. May have just broken the radar program, and if I did, I will cry. But we've got a couple thunderstorms we're watching. First off, we've got a severe thunderstorm that is capable of producing a brief tornado near Smear on Highway 114. This thunderstorm is moving generally almost due east now along Highway 114, and this would place it towards the city of Lubbock in about, at this point, 45 minutes to an hour. It was moving about 25 miles an hour earlier. It's slowed back down again, is now moving at about 15 miles an hour. But again, this is going to be moving towards the western sections of Lubbock over the next hour. Oh, you can see we do have a wee bit of low-level rotation with this thunderstorm, but nothing that screams, holy moly, guacamole, we're about to have a tornado. So we'll see what the Weather Service decides to do with this over the next 30 minutes. Undoubtedly, this thunderstorm remains quite capable of producing destructive hail. We're talking hail up to the size of tennis balls in spots, generally north of Smear. Then you can see as we go on south, a relatively elongated hook echo with the tip of the hook right on 114 near Smear. This elongated hook echo might be indicative of some weakening, or at least the thunderstorm attempting to be a bit elevated, which would reduce the threat for a tornado. It might also be indicative that we are dealing with a little bit of moisture issues. We may not have as much low-level moisture with this thunderstorm in this general proximity. So with that in mind, regardless, this thing may be a problem for the city of Lubbock and at least western areas from Wolforth up to shallow water over the next 1 hour in the hail department. Let's head back to another severe storm. This one's been a little interesting over the last 15 minutes. Definitely the potential for some damaging straight line winds coming on down into Muleshoe and some hail. Switch over to the which way the wind's blowing mode. You can see a relatively strong surge of outflow winds here is what this is indicating. I know that looks like a hook echo. We've been keeping an eye out just in case we've had any sort of spinny mischief, but we haven't seen anything like that. And at this point, this thunderstorm looks relatively elevated, but definitely the potential for some strong outflow winds over 70 miles an hour and the potential for wind-driven hail. We note the radar is estimating hail up to the size of golf balls. And regardless, this thunderstorm is likely to be rather problematic with hail. Spotters in the area aren't reporting any sort of lowerings that would be indicative of tornado genesis or tornadic spinny mischief issues. Up in the Panhandle, we've got rain. A couple thunderstorms, nothing severe. It's a good night to be in the Panhandle. Let me tell you, that is good news. And the only other severe weather we have ongoing this evening is across South Texas, a cluster of severe thunderstorms beginning to move east-southeast now at about 30 miles an hour. Still over relatively rural areas, roughly from near Rio Grande City up to Agua Neva. I know I didn't say it right. I'm not even going to pretend I did. Definitely the potential for straight line winds over 60 miles an hour, maybe some quarter to $half size hail. This cluster of storms is going to keep moving southeast towards the deep Rio Grande Valley tonight. So those of you in Edinburg, down to McAllen, Raymondville, in about 2 hours or so, y'all may have thunderstorms knocking on your door from the west. Potential for some very heavy rain, some wind, maybe some hail, and a lot of lightning. Otherwise, zoom back out to the state. Again, let me turn off satellite. We don't need satellite this time of night. You can see that besides those clusters of severe storms, we do have some showers across North Texas, a couple storms in Central Texas, Plenty of rain in the Panhandle, which we are thankful for. And again, some severe storms down in South Texas. Not expecting too much more tonight across North and Central Texas. A bit of a lull before tomorrow. This cluster of storms across West Texas may continue for several more hours yet as it moves east towards Northwest Texas. And we're going to be watching these storms in South Texas as they move on to the southeast towards the Rio Grande Valley as well. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to press a couple buttons. I want to take a look at what the high-resolution weather models are showing for tomorrow. So give me just a second. I have to press a couple of buttons manually here to get that all set up. And we'll take a look at what we're expecting. Let me clear off data. And we're going to pop on over to the high-resolution rapid refresh model. Now, let's just start at 7 a.m. This is 7 a.m. Tuesday. You can see this model actually does have thunderstorms continuing across Northwest Texas, across the Panhandle and West Texas, some isolated storms in Central Texas. So it may be quiet for a few hours tonight, but we could have some more boomers by morning. We'll go ahead. Let's pop up to 10 a.m. You can see thunderstorms continue West Texas into Northwest Texas into Texoma. We note some isolated, stronger-looking storms down from Georgetown to Austin. Some of these could have some hail at this point. Fast forward to 1 p.m. You can see we're starting to see a reinvigoration of thunderstorms across a boundary in Texoma down into the big country. Some of these storms could have some maybe dime to quarter-size hail, lightning, heavy rainfall, and the potential for heavy rainfall, which I said twice now, so I'm very special. Fast forward to 4 p.m., you can see we're starting to see new storms fire up on that boundary into West Texas, the Concho Valley. Some of these are likely to be severe. Some large hail, damaging straight-line winds, maybe a low threat for a tornado. And we still got heavy rain and some strong to severe storms in North Texas. More isolated storms farther southeast. You can see our high terrain of northern Mexico already firing off more storms. Fire ahead to 7 p.m. We're going to start seeing a line of storms organized from near San Angelo, the DFW Metroplex, up towards Texarkana. Storms moving southeast. More storms across West Texas. And again, you can kind of tell we have a boundary or a front in this general area where storms are going to be concentrated on. Tomorrow morning, tomorrow afternoon, by tomorrow evening, that boundary and the storms are going to start moving southeast. You can see a pretty rowdy line of thunderstorms by this point from near Marshall, southwest of Tyler, Waco, Brady to Junction. Some of these are likely to be severe, damaging winds, large hail, a lot of lightning, and probably some very heavy rainfall. We could be talking some flooding issues here if some of these storms drop, 3 to 5 inches of rain in 2 hours. We're going to fast forward to 1 a.m. Wednesday. You can see storms still moving further south, now moving into the Brazos Valley, south central Texas, back west towards Uvalde and Del Rio. Again, some of these are still likely going to be severe with some gusty winds, damaging straight-line winds, some hail, heavy rainfall, a lot of lightning. Fast forward to 4 a.m. Wednesday. It's pouring and storming from Eagle Pass, San Antonio, all the way to Houston into East Texas. Lighter rain still ongoing behind the squall line up across central Texas, the Brazos Valley, East Texas, even some isolated storms firing back up in Texoma. And we'll fire ahead to 7 a.m. Wednesday, and you can see it's raining in Oklahoma. It's still raining across the southeastern third of Texas. Rowdy storms out in the Gulf of Mexico, extending back inland across the middle Texas coast, the coastal bend, into South Texas. And then by 10 a.m. Wednesday, storms moving into the Rio Grande Valley. So that being said, just for fun, let me go ahead. I'll load a loop from 7 a.m. to, 7 a.m. tomorrow to 7 a.m. Wednesday. Now, keep in mind, this is just going to be a simulated computer model run of what radar may look like. We're going to have a lot of boundaries in play tomorrow from storms today. So a lot of this could change somewhat depending on how storms behave tonight and where everything sets up tomorrow morning. But you can see, generally going to have a line of storms by late tomorrow morning in northwest Texas, slowly move southeast throughout the day, and then we're going to finally start accelerating the storm's southeastward movement tomorrow night. But you can see most folks across the eastern 75% of Texas are going to get several hours of rain tomorrow. It won't rain all day, but we're going to see a pretty good duration of rain, some of which is going to be heavy, And we could have some localized flooding issues. In addition, some storms are going to be severe with hail, damaging winds, maybe a tornado. We'll see how that all lines up tomorrow. Tomorrow's tornado threat would be highly conditional on some boundaries in some different areas. So it's not a guaranteed threat for tornadoes, and I do expect the threat for tornadoes will probably remain on the low side, but we're going to keep an eye on it nevertheless, just in case. By far, I expect tomorrow will feature more instances of some hail, damaging winds, some localized flooding, with a secondary threat of perhaps a couple of brief tornadoes. But just like today should in West Texas, Mama Nature don't care what we think. Mama Nature's going to do what Mama Nature's going to do. And sometimes the ingredients shape up in a very small area. In this case, about a half county width area. And when a storm is able to take advantage of those conditions, voila, there you go. You get a mile-wide tornado. So we'll keep an eye on things for tomorrow. But otherwise, tonight, we're going to keep an eye out for thunderstorms in the Panhandle, thunderstorms down in deep South Texas, moving into the Rio Grande Valley, and more isolated thunderstorms possible across North Texas and Central Texas. So you can keep an eye on the sky with the Texas Storm Chasers Interactive Weather Radar on our website, texasstormchasers.com/radar, and in the free Texas Storm Chasers mobile app. We note that the tornado warning that was going to be for the storm west of Lubbock has been allowed to expire. Severe storm moving towards the city of Lubbock. So this thunderstorm near Smyre, moving east towards Shallow Water, New Deal, the north half of the city of Lubbock could still have some very large hail with it. We'll keep an eye on that. Otherwise, remember, TexasStormChasers.com/radar, and we will have more chasers out and about tomorrow with live storm chasing videos. So we'll be keeping an eye on the sky. Hope you'll join us.